the Marvel Legends Eternals Gilgamesh Build-A-Figure Wave. Let's take a look at the characters behind the characters these figures are based on. Next up, Ajak. Let's talk about it.
MBB on the track.
So what we have on the rotating platter is a surprise addition to this lineup. We've got Ajak from the upcoming Marvel Studios movie The Eternals, and surprise because up until today I did not have Ajak. I stumbled upon her. I was in Walmart actually hunting for the Fantastic Four retro wave, and of course to my disappointment they didn't have it. They have been getting spotted in various stores throughout the country. So I didn't see it, so I started to walk out, and as I left the aisle and turned the corner, there was an end cap, and it was for the Eternals, and Ajak was occupying a couple slots there. Did a double take, stepped back, grabbed one for me and another one for the homie, and the rest is history. So I've got Ajak, so I decided to throw her in here. I was actually going to do Kingo, but I figured rare is the time I get to actually make a video of something that I got same day. Last time was with Tigra. So just rolling with it. So here we are. Once again, we've got Ajak, and she is a character, an Eternal in the upcoming movie. What we're going to do is go a little background check into her 616 Marvel Comics counterpart, just to get an idea of who this character is, so we'll have a little bit more to identify with when the movie comes out, which during the premiere they actually there's been some decent reviews, so I'm looking forward to the movie. Anyhow, Ajak is an Eternal, and the Eternals were created by Jack Kirby back in 1976. Issue 1 came out in April of that same year. Ajak's first appearance was in issue 2 in the month of May, same year. Ajak has relatives, but none of them are around since the Eternals became a thing, so I'm not even going to bother to mention them because they're not going to mean anything to any of us. But as we probably know by now, if we've been following any of these videos, is that the Eternals were created about 1 million years ago by the Celestials, supposedly to protect mankind from the Deviants. Ajak is part of a subgroup known as the Polar Eternals, which, by the way, Icarus is also a part of that subgroup. I failed to mention that when I did my overview of Icarus, my background on Icarus. As you can see, Ajak is female. You probably already know about the little controversy regarding gender swapping. You know, Ajak, Makari, and Sprite have had their genders flipped. And as I explained in the previous video, they swapped the, when I say they, I mean Marvel Studios swapped the genders beforehand, and then Marvel, the comic company, played catch up and came up with convenient stories to swap genders in the books. Ajak, however, believe it or not, actually started out as female. When we first saw her / him back in '76, it was as a male, and it wasn't until some context into Ajak's background came about that we discovered that Ajak started out as female, and that's pretty crazy. At some unknown point, Ajak was resurrected as a male. And keep the resurrected word in mind, because this person, Eternal's supposed to be immortal. Ajak can most definitely challenge that claim. Anyhow, you'll see when I get more into some of Ajak's history. As with most of the Eternals, Marvel has created backstories for them in subsequent years after they after they made their first appearances back in 1976. So before Ajak's first appearance, some of her old stories from back in the day, Ajak actually fought in the Trojan War and was mistaken for Ajax. That's why I kind of sort of got it mixed up, because as you can see, as we've been discovering with these overviews, the Eternals influenced mankind's history, and they were mistaken a lot of times for Greek gods, other gods of other cultures. They've influenced fictional characters like Peter Pan. Sprite was responsible for that, and so on. Well, Ajak was mistaken as a male for Ajax. Ajak was also worshipped by the Incas at Tecumotzin, and was thought to be Quetzalcoatl by the Aztecs. 2,500 years ago, I was about to say Ajax again. Ajak. Ajak was Ajak 2,500 years ago fought Crow's forces. In the comics, Crow is known as Warlord Crow, and I can tell you, looks completely different than how he's being portrayed in the movie. But yeah, so they threw down about 2,500 years ago. Ajak actually met Thor, and they fought this villain, we'll just call him, called Dromedan. And this is way back in the day. And then during the arrival of the Celestials' third host in Peru, this is when Ajak became the liaison to the Celestials and was dubbed the speaker to the gods. After the Celestials had gotten here, he and Zurus, they collaborated to formulate a flight plan for when the Celestials would leave Earth. Once the Celestials bounced, Ajak was converted into atoms to await the arrival of the fourth host thousands of years later in the city of the space gods. Ajak, then we pick up in modern times. This was officially issue 2 of the first volume of the Eternals back in 76. Icarus was directed by Zurus to wake Ajak up in preparation of the fourth host. After the arrival, Ajak was trapped behind a force field which surrounded the site of the Celestials' arrival. He was attacked by SHIELD agents back then, and he converted them into atoms. And during this whole episode with the fourth host, Ajak met Thor again, but this time they opposed one another, and they fought. Ajak was defeated. Ajak also fought Zeus, the king of the Olympian gods. Zeus had beef with the Eternals, obvious reason. Zurus, Phastos, Hephaestus, Athena. He thought that they were just basically pawns of the Celestials and using Olympian gods' names for clout. And, they had their little falling out because of that. After all of that, when the Celestial fourth host was ready to leave, Ajak joined the Eternals, who went into space. They formed a Unimind. There was a faction of Eternals that decided to leave Earth, and they formed a Unimind. Ajak actually joined them in the Unimind, but then separated from the Unimind and came back to Earth. After he came back to Earth, a character that was introduced in the first issue, he was with Icarus. He went by the name of Dr. Daniel Damian, and He was with Icarus when they went to the Celestials' arrival site, and he was present when Icarus awakened Ajak. Dr. Damon stayed with Ajak at the site when they got trapped in a force field at that site, as I stated previously. After Ajak came back to Earth after separating from the Unimind, he just got he ended up being transformed by Dr. Damien, who went insane and turned Ajak into a monster using celestial technology, which was in the city of the gods, and sent him to, we have to keep it YouTube friendly, Deborah and Donald Ritter. These were twins who happened to be the children of Thena and Crow. Picture that. And Ajak took out many sets of twins while trying to get to the Ritters. He got stopped, fortunately, and then after he got stopped by other Eternals, after he was restored by the Eternals, he was grief-stricken, and he took Damien and himself out via disintegration. And then we fast forward to during the time of the Dreamer Celestial, which was the next time Ajak made an appearance in the comics. Ajak was, of course, resurrected. He was resurrected by Sprite, who then manipulated both Ajak and Zurus into trapping the Eternals in human forms and erased their memories and histories, so he could use the Dreaming Celestial's power in order to reverse whatever it was that was preventing Sprite from growing up, not necessarily aging, but growing up. They're Eternals, they're immortal, so I don't know if the word aging applies, but whatever happened back in the day that kept Sprite from growing into an adult, Sprite was trying to undo that, and came up with this long-range plot to try to get that done using the Dreaming Celestial's power. And it didn't work because Ajak and the Eternals, they slowly regained their memories and they stopped Sprite's plan. And then to Ajak's chagrin, the Dreaming Celestial chose Makari to be the liaison. So basically Ajak lost his job. Ajak, because he didn't like that so much, he started to hate Makari because he thought that that was his position as Speaker of the Gods, his chosen position, like he was destined for it. So he felt some kind of way about it, and he felt humiliated. He also felt that communicating with the Dreaming Celestial, of all Celestials, conveniently had beef with the Dreaming Celestial. He thought that communicating with the Dreaming Celestial was blasphemy, since the Dreaming Celestial was exiled from the other Celestials. Ajak was so hateful towards Makari, he brainwashed Gilgamesh into deleting Makari, which he did, but we're talking Eternal, so obviously it didn't stick. We fast forward to sometime later, Ajak ended up in San Francisco as a gardener, and the entire time he still didn't let go of his hate for Makari, was trying to find a way to beat him. It was during this time that an event in Marvel called the Secret Invasion. This was when the Skrulls, aliens, they had infiltrated all sectors of the Marvel universe, of the Earth, 616 Earth, and it was a big event. You didn't know who to trust. It was, in fact, that was the slogan for that event. Who do you trust? You know. So Ajak joined up with Hercules, and they went to fight Skrull gods. And there was this Skrull Eternal. Once again, there are Eternals from a whole bunch of sentient species, and even the Skrulls have Eternals. This Eternal was called Clyben, and Ajak was taken out by Clyben. Once again, I mean, the list just keeps going on and on for Ajak in terms of all of these deletions. Resurrected yet again, Ajak was part of the Dark Celestials event, where it was discovered that the Eternals were charged with cultivating humans because they acted as antibodies to beings known as the Horde, not to protect humans as they were led to believe for a million years or so. So as you can imagine, that didn't sit well with the Eternals, and they basically went insane. They either took one another out or they self-deleted. So this led to the exclusion event. The exclusion is what they call the event that resurrects Eternals. There's a bunch of machines and stuff that they're used for it. And of course, no one ever thought about how these machines were powered, which was the basis for this particular storyline. Once again, Ajak was resurrected, but this time returned as female. So we've just come full circle. As far as we know, Ajak started off as female, went through all kinds of deletions, and currently is back as a female. So the crazy thing about that is that was actually told, that story was actually told before the movie. So the one Eternal that actually started out as a female, the one Eternal that's a female in the movie that got gender swapped, actually started out that way and then went through this millennia long journey right back to becoming female again. So that was crazy. So she was resurrected as female during the exclusion event, but she didn't have a major role in that event other than she came back as female. And that's gotten us up to date on basically the history of the 616 Ajak in the Marvel Universe. Ajak's power, she's an Eternal, so, because of the cosmic energy that powers them all, the Eternals can basically do the same things. They just focus on whatever interests them the most. They all have the same basic abilities as any other Eternal. They're immortal, they're invulnerable, they can regenerate. As far as Ajak is concerned, outside of being able to communicate with the Celestials, or formerly able to do that, that's Makari's job now. It's still Makari's job. She can also transmute matter on a scale right behind Sprite and Cersei. Cersei being the most powerful of the Eternals at being able to transmute matter, change anything on a molecular level, and Sprite is up there as well, and Ajak is like right behind, as he demonstrated when he was a he back in his first appearance back in 76 when he was attacked by shield agents, and he transformed the shield agents. He just broke them down into atoms and stored them away. They ended up becoming reinvigorated later in the storyline. I failed to mention that. So yeah, they weren't just left as atoms. Like all Eternals, Ajak is super strong and could lift bench about 25 tons before utilizing telekinesis to help. She doesn't really use telekinesis all that much. I believe that as a male, Ajak relied on just his brute strength, because one of Ajak's abilities is that he/she is adept at wrestling. So I don't think telekinesis is utilized all that much, though being an Eternal, she can still utilize it if she so chose. Can use levitation to fly. She can fly up to about 650 miles per hour, and like most Eternals, can shoot concussive blasts from her eyes and her hands. I'm having trouble speaking, please forgive me. But yeah, she can shoot blasts from her eyes and her hands, like Icarus and all the other Eternals that choose to do so. And like all Eternals, she can also teleport. She just doesn't like doing so, once again, because the sensation is unpleasant. So that's about it in terms of the backstory on Ajak of the 616. We will see how close the movie version, the MCU version, will measure up to the comic version. We will see that shortly. But for now, that's over. What I'll do is I'll go very briefly over her articulation and a little bit of just check it out, the paint apps, the costume. So Without further ado, I'm going to get her off the platter. So we've got Ajak off of the rotating platter, and I'm sure you all know that Ajak is being portrayed by Salma Hayek in the film, and there's been a lot of controversy regarding the head sculpt. Even Salma herself clowned the head sculpt on a late night talk show not too long ago. And I mean, she made this bloated face. It was kind of hilarious that she basically crapped on her own figure. But I have to say, I can't be mad at Selma because I simply I don't really see Selma too much. Maybe slightly from some angles, slightly. I don't know. I'm going on record. I just don't see it. I mean, the face sculpt is nice. It's definitely decent looking. I just don't think it looks like Salma Hayek. Having said that, the portrait is still good. The headdress is banging. Goes all the way around. Her hair looks good. There's no wash in the hair. It's just a brown. But the helmet, the headpiece, the headdress looks excellent on her. As with all the Eternals, they're all unique sculpts, which is why there isn't many accessories. Ajak comes with another head, an unhelmeted head sculpt, if you will, and another set of open hands. She comes with fists out of the package, and because she's exclusive, a Walmart exclusive to be exact, no Build-A-Figure piece with that. As far as the rest of her costume, though, very, very nice, very detailed. Once again, with the line work and the paint apps, blue and gold. It's just banging. She's got that streak of gold going down the middle flap of her dress, and the arms, her from the shoulders on down is gold, and there's some blue right there on either side of the forearms, looking pretty nice. And her cape is this metallic blue. All of the Eternals have this metallic look to them that just boosts how beautiful they are. So yeah, but that's a look at at her costume. Nothing on the as far as the legs. There's no paint work on the legs, even though there are details. But that line work isn't painted in at all. So I guess they ran out of budget for that. Anyhow, as far as her articulation, her head's on a dumbbell joint, and you can get attitude with it, which is great. It could do 360, but of course the hair is going to impede that. She can look that far down. She can't really look up, once again, because of the hair. That goes for both head sculpts. But other than that, pretty good. Her shoulders, she can get up 90, which is good. 360-degree rotation at the shoulder. She's got no bicep swivel. It's a female figure, so no bicep swivel there. She has single joint elbow on a swivel, and her wrists are on a hinge that swivel in, and they hinge in and out. As far as her diaphragm articulation, she can move very well side to side. As far as going forward, she goes forward that much, but she snaps right back, so you're not going to get anything there. She does go back decently, but you do get kind of a space there if you go back too far, and you can twist her around. No waist articulation as is standard with female figures. She can do the splits that much. She doesn't have much impediment from her dress wear. She's got articulation, rotating thighs, double jointed pinless knees, and no calf rotation. Her toes, she can point down that far, point up that far, ankle pivot, and holds on the bottom of her feet. So to sum it all up, in conclusion, we've just taken a dive into the background of Ajak 616 counterpart. We've learned that she started out as female and then went through several resurrections that we know of, and has once again come full circle to being female, which she's being portrayed as we can tell in the movie. We've learned about some of the highs and lows of the character, and leading up to what we have here. As far as a detailed review, I haven't mentioned it yet in this particular video, but if you want to see an in-depth review of the action figure itself, paint apps, more detail with the articulation, and pros and cons of the figure, what have you, I'll turn you to MCU Collector 24. He's got reviews of all of the figures in this line, including all of the exclusives, including Ajak, Dina, and Crow. I'll have a link to his video in my description below, and you can go there and get that full in-depth video, that review, and go peep him out. Shout out to MCU Collector. Shout out to you guys for rocking with me, hanging out this long. And but we're about to wrap it up, so please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and smash that bell so you can be notified when I upload another video. Until the next time, my peeps, remember, the hunt continues. And I'm out. Peace.